let me just say that we have been doing unprecedented wall-to-wall coverage of this important, historic, and exciting election. Uh, as of now, the votes are coming in it's 49% Joe Biden, 48.5% Donald Trump. This is incredible. And obviously, we're thrilled to have with us Rabbi Yehuda Glick. We're not only here to present the we're not only here to present the news and fair and balanced, but we're looking to present the biblical perspective. Rabbi Yehuda, we've never had an election like this. It's never been as close as this before. And before you get to the biblical perspective, I just wanted to thank our Israel 365 news team, Adam Eliyahu Berkowitz, who's on with me right now, Josh Wander, who's on in the background right now, making sure that everything goes smoothly, David Sidman, there he is. Thank you, Josh, with your tefillin on, your phylacteries, praying up a storm. That's what we all need to be doing. And to David Sidman, the editor, as well. You all are doing a great job. We didn't offer this in 2016, and it's an important perspective. I know a lot of people are watching us right now on Facebook. A lot of people are watching us on YouTube. I want to thank all of you who are joining in, and it's really a great time to call on our guest, former Knesset member and current head of the Shalom Jerusalem Foundation, our good friend, Rabbi Yehuda Glick.
He needs to unmute himself. Yehuda, you need to unmute yourself.
Unmute, Rabbi Yehuda, unmute. You're on mute. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Now we can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes. Loud and clear, loud and clear. Shalom,
Okay,
good morning,
shalom
Rabbi Yehuda.
and good morning to my shalom and good morning. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Shalom and good morning to my dear friends Rabbi Tuli and Adam Eliyahu Berkowitz and Josh Wander. I think at these very special moments before we talk about anything, the most important thing is to raise our eyes to Hashem. I would even say not only call out to Hashem, but blow the shofar to Hashem.
Tell me, Rabbi Yehuda, did we used to blow shofar when a new king was announced?
We blew shofar when new kings were announced, but also when we were in times that we need to call out to Hashem. The strongest call out to Hashem is the blowing the shofar, as the prophet Joel teaches us, blow the shofar on Zion. I think Josh Wander is closer right now to the Temple Mount, which is Zion. He probably can blow the shofar even better than I can. But to call out to Hashem in these very delicate moments, the Pearl Harbor of the Poles who were told us that Biden was going to take it walking on crutches. It seems like Biden is sweating right now, and we're all sweating. We're all eating our fingernails, and this is the time to call out to Hashem, because I understand that Adam Eliyahu Berkowitz didn't go to sleep, but the people counting the ballots went to sleep.
Oh my!
And as Eliyahu Hanavi said, when the people, he said, maybe God went to sleep, wake him up. And he was joking with the prophets of the Baal, but he actually said, call out to the real one and only God. We are in his hands, and I will not take the chance. I will not take the dare to predict, because I can predict anything except for the future. But I can say tell you that the things are definitely still open. We still have countries states that their name end with the word Yah, Georgia and Pennsylvania, and so we can definitely still call out to Hashem and expect Him to open the gates of heaven for our prayers. One thing we can definitely say is that we will always remember that the United States of America is Israel's best ally, And I see that 50.1% in North Carolina is what it says I see right now.
You see that Trump has announced that we will be going to the Supreme Court. This is obviously very contentious.
I know a few people who yell about that.
Trump will say that after he took over the Supreme Court, I understand. But we're going to the real Supreme, the Supreme Court, the Court of Hashem. And we're begging Hashem to allow us to continue the wonderful things that have happened here in the Middle East in the past few months, the peace between Israel and the new countries, the new horizon that we're seeing developing, and make sure that what has happened, the recognition of Jerusalem, is irreversible. By the way, I don't know if you're aware, I'm sure you announced it. Malawi yesterday announced moving their embassy to Jerusalem, and more countries are on the way. More countries are on the way to make peace with Israel, and we hope that the attitude in the White House that we saw in the past few years will continue, because as my dear friend Josh Reinstein said, we had 5 years ago a wish list of 10 things which we hoped that one of them would be done, and so far 9 of them have been done. So we're waiting for the sovereignty in Judea and Samaria, but the Golan and UNRWA and Jerusalem and fighting anti-Semitism in America, I think we've had a wonderful 4 years. We have to express our gratitude to Hashem, not take things for granted, and hope whatever can be irreversible, and hope things continue in the right way.
Well, Rav, you're kind of not focusing on the thing that I know that you're focused on. What is the role of the Temple Mount, of Har HaBayit, of Beit HaMikdash, in what we're going through right now in this election?
I said we blow the shofar to Zion. Zion is the Temple Mount, as you all know, quoted in Psalm 2 or in Joel 4 or in Amos. The Temple Mount is Zion. And yes, we should. Our prayers should be facing to Zion. But I can say that what we've seen, the recognition of Jerusalem, and the new Muslim world recognizing Temple Mount and understanding that Temple Mount has to be a house of prayer for all nations. And we see a new Muslims. And I think that just like we were all shocked in the past few decades to see so many Christians supporting Israel, we're going to see more and more Muslims supporting Israel, because the children of Abraham are going back to God. And the very fact that, I don't know who was the copywriter, but the fact that the peace in this area is called the Abraham Accord, that in itself, can you imagine a guy who passed away 4,000 years ago has an impact on current events? Abraham, who was chosen by God to be the father of all nations, the source of blessing to all the families of the earth. He's having an impact today.
I love watching when I saw the delegation from the United Arab Emirates go up to the Temple Mount to daven, and they unfortunately got problems from their Palestinian brethren, but they want to go to the Temple Mount. They want to go to Zion.
But they proved that what we were being claimed for the past decade, when I've been running the battle for the Temple Mount, they keep telling me you're fighting the 1.5 billion Muslims in the world. It's not true.
No,
we're fighting a few political Muslims, noisy, radical Muslims. But the 80% of the Muslim world are moderate. 80% of the Muslim world don't want terror and want the Temple Mount to be a house of prayer open for all. And when we see that for so many years, the people of Saudi Arabia, this week I corresponded with a friend of mine in Bahrain and a friend of mine in Saudi Arabia, and they tell me that for so many years they had to lock up their thoughts in their heart. They weren't allowed to speak freely what they really felt. And now you see it bursting out. And this is finally, for the first time, Israel signing peace with the Arabs. All the other agreements in the past were all agreements of non-war. Now we're signing peace with the people, because peace is not a political event. Peace is a faith event. It's God's name. Shalom is much greater than any kind of political piece of paper. And when we see the people of the Arab world, the moderate Arab world, want to make peace with Israel, even the people of Iran.
Rabbi Yehuda, I have to ask you a question. We're making peace with these countries like the UAE, and there's a monarchy, and and the people there they love the king, and they're very happy. It's not a democracy where everybody has equal rights. You have the Emiratis who have a higher level of rights than the foreigners. And I was thinking that sounds like such a biblical model. And the biblical model is you have a king, or in the future we'll have a Melech HaMashiach. And it won't necessarily be a democracy where everybody will have an equal voice. You have different levels of people. You have Kohen, you have Levi, you have Israel, you have the Ger Toshav. And I know that you are running for president. You're looking to make a bigger impact on the world, and we will do anything that we can to support that effort. You know that. How do you see the model of government in Israel versus the biblical model that we are aspiring to? And of course, what do you see as your role?
First of all, thank you very much for the question. And I actually didn't think of the thought about when you spoke about the UAE, about the monarchy there, but I can say something and I think it's very important to say. Yes, Hashem warned the people in the book of Samuel that a king has the ability to take whoever he wants and to draft as slaves whoever he wants. But that king doesn't have to do that. And the description of the ideal king of David is a person who is caring for the people, who's not a person who's above all, but he's a part of all. I always refer to the king as the conductor in the orchestra. You don't see his face, and he has to make sure the violin gets just as amount of place as the drum, and he has to make sure that the cello and the piano get equal amount of place, and they're all fit in their face. So I think that, and I think that the ideal anointed king in the Bible is the one who sees his people. It's one of the things he's warned is not to allow his heart to be above the people. His heart has to stay. He has to remember that he's a tool. He's an instrument in the hand of Hashem. He has to remember again and again that he has the Torah on his arm, and not only the Torah, it's the Torah of Mishneh Torah, the book of Deuteronomy, which talks about caring for every single one of the people and knowing to take for granted. Now in Israel, the president supposedly doesn't have a political point, doesn't have a political force, but it's much stronger than he represents the solidarity, the unity of the people. He speaks the spirit of the people, and I say how important it is that to have a president that is connected to the idea of Israel being a light to the nation, and the importance of having a president that in Israel who's not only a symbol but actually represents the spirit of the nation. In Israel, the president is somebody who represents the spirit of the nation, means somebody who knows how to listen to the orphan and the widow, who knows how to listen to the most simple person in any status, who knows how to be aware of poverty and knows how to feel and have empathy to those who are any kind of suffering, to every single person in his kingdom. And I think, and I'm praying to Hashem, that I will be able to, on the one hand, represent, and I'm right now on a journey, even though in Israel the president is chosen by the Knesset, I'm on a journey meeting with people from all over the country. But I also want to be very much involved in strengthening the relationship between Israel and the Jewish diaspora, and also making sure Israel puts on the table its special assignment as being a light upon the nations, a source of blessing to the nations. And I think this is so important, and that's why I decided to go on this journey. And for me, the journey in itself is so important, and I'm trying to touch the hearts of all people and listen. One of the things we don't have is listening. People can have a respectful dialogue, who know how to honor each other, to respect each other, who know how to really be there to understand what's listening. Everybody now is busy talking, and people aren't busy listening, respecting, and giving respect for every single person. and therefore I don't think a monarchy has to be doesn't have to be totalitarian. It doesn't have to be totalitarian. It doesn't have to be.
I agree with you. That there are other models, and we're really seeing in this election in the United States right now, according to the latest Fox News, you have it's too close to count. It's either candidate at this point is very close and has the road to the 270 electoral votes that are necessary. We're seeing, though, the threat in America, which we've never really seen before, of talking about civil unrest, maybe even, God forbid, a civil war in the United States. What you're seeing is the limits of democracy. And, people have said that democracy is the worst form of government, but it's better than all of the other forms of government. And I think that, as we believe that we are in the end of days and getting closer to the final redemption, that we're going to see that there is, in fact, even a better model of government. And that, of course, is the biblical model of government. And we know that and we're praying that you will have a big role in that. People like yourself whose priority is not to themselves, but their priority is to Hashem. And in every waking moment of a politician.
To Rav Tuli, we say in English, democracy. Democracy comes from two Greek words, demo and kratos. Demo means the people, and kratos means ruling. But in Hebrew, there's a third word that goes to that. It's demo, krat, yah. And so we have the third word in Hebrew is the yah. So I think that makes the whole difference. If the people, if they're just an anarchy and just representing just a call out and a yell, and we're going to be violent, I spoke about a lot right after the event with George Floyd, where we saw a terrible event, but caused to bring to anarchy and a bursting out of violence. And it doesn't have to be that. We can listen and hear the call of Black Lives Matter without a need to use violence against the other way. And I think that the secret is the Hebrew Yah, the Hashem. When the whole idea is to sing one God who really is inclusive and he wants all parts of the people, then it's not just tolerance, it's inclusiveness. And that's the difference between democracy and demokratia.
Well, if there's anyone who can fix the Israeli government, it's certainly Rabbi Yehuda. David, are you with us?
No, Tuli.
Yes, David, we could hear you loud and clear.
Oh, great. He put me on and I'm talking to you on the phone. It's not good.
All right. Well,
and it's not Zoom.
Rabbi Yehuda, you're welcome to stay on. And I'm sure
wonderful
David.
To be with you, and it's wonderful to see David Rubin this morning also. Shalom to all of you. Shalom to Adam. Shalom, Rav Tuli. And to shalom to all the people who are watching, and shalom to the world. Shalom.
I also, if I can, I want to point out that one of the prerequisites for being a king of Israel is having bright red hair.
1 second.
So in that respect, you're already there. For people who didn't understand, King David had red hair. So
thank you so much. Take care. Shalom.